SpongeBob SquarePants is an American animated television series created by marine biologist and animator Steven Hillenburg for Nickelodeon. The series chronicles the adventures and endeavors of the title character and his various friends in the fictional underwater city of Bikini Bottom. The series' popularity has made it a media franchise, as well as the highest-rated series to ever air on Nickelodeon, and the most distributed property of MTV networks. The media franchise has generated $8 billion in merchandising revenue for Nickelodeon. Many of the ideas for the series originated in an unpublished educational comic book titled The Intertidal Zone, which Hillenburg created in 1989. He began developing SpongeBob SquarePants into a television series in 1996 upon the cancellation of Rocko's Modern Life, and turned to Tom Kenny, who had worked with him on that series, to voice the titular character. SpongeBob was originally going to be named SpongeBoy, and the series was to be called SpongeBoy Ahoy, but these were both changed, as the name was already trademarked. Nickelodeon held a preview for the series in the United States on May 1, 1999, following the television airing of the 1999 Kids' Choice Awards. The series officially premiered on July 17, 1999. It has received worldwide critical acclaim since its premiere and gained enormous popularity by its second season. A feature film, The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, was released in theaters on November 19, 2004, and a sequel was released on February 6, 2015. On July 21, 2012, the series was renewed and aired its ninth season, beginning with the episode Extreme Spots. The series has won a variety of awards, including 6 Annie Awards, 8 Golden Reel Awards, 2 Emmy Awards, 12 Kids' Choice Awards, and 2 BAFTA Children's Awards. Despite its widespread popularity, the series has been involved in several public controversies, including one centered on speculation over SpongeBob's intended sexual orientation. In 2011, a newly described species of mushroom, Spongiforma SquarePants, was named after the cartoon's title character. Premise: characters. The series revolves around its title character and his various friends. SpongeBob SquarePants is an energetic and optimistic sea sponge who lives in a sea pineapple and loves his job as a fry cook at the Krusty Krab. He has a pet snail, Gary, who meows like a cat. Living 2 houses down from SpongeBob is his best friend Patrick Star, a dim-witted yet friendly pink starfish who lives under a rock. Despite his mental setbacks, Patrick still sees himself as intelligent. Squidward Tentacles is SpongeBob's next-door neighbor and co-worker at the Krusty Krab. Squidward is an arrogant and ill-tempered octopus who lives in an Easter Island moai and dislikes his neighbors for their childlike behavior. He enjoys playing the clarinet and painting self-portraits, but hates his job as a cashier. Another close friend of SpongeBob is Sandy Cheeks, a squirrel from Texas. She is a scientist and an expert in karate. She lives in an underwater tree dome. When outside of her dwelling, she wears an astronaut-like suit because she cannot breathe underwater. Mr. Krabs, a miserly crab obsessed with money, is the owner of the Krusty Krab restaurant and SpongeBob's boss. His rival, Plankton, is a small green copepod who owns a low-rank fast food restaurant called the Chum Bucket, located across the street from the Krusty Krab. Plankton spends most of his time planning to steal the secret recipe for Mr. Krabs' popular Krabby Patty burgers, so as to gain the upper hand and put the Krusty Krab out of business. Other recurring characters appear throughout the series, such as SpongeBob's ever-suffering driving teacher Mrs. Puff, Mr. Krabs' whiny teenage whale daughter Pearl, Plankton's intelligent yet sarcastically sassy computer wife Karen, the muscular lifeguard of Goo Lagoon, Larry the Lobster, a pirate spectre known as the Flying Dutchman, and retired superheroes Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, who are idolized by SpongeBob and Patrick. setting. The series predominantly takes place in the underwater city of Bikini Bottom, which, according to some third-party sources, is located in the Pacific Ocean beneath the real-life coral reef Bikini Atoll. The citizens live in mostly aquatic-themed buildings and use boatmobiles, amalgamations of cars and boats, as a mode of transportation. Recurring establishments present in Bikini Bottom include two competing restaurants, the Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket, Mrs. Puff's Boating School, and Shady Shoals Rest Home. Goo Lagoon, a popular beach hangout, is within the vicinity of the city, as is Jellyfish Fields. There are also a few episodes with businesses such as the grocery store, joke store, and mattress store. When the crew began production on the pilot, they were tasked with designing the stock locations where the show would return to again and again, and in which most of the action would take place, such as the Krusty Krab and SpongeBob's Pineapple House. The idea for the series was to keep everything nautical, so the crew used a great amount of rope, wooden planks, ship's wheels, netting, anchors, boilerplates, and rivets in creating the show's setting. Bubbles filing up the screen is also a nautical technique used to transition from scene to scene. The series features sky flowers as a main setting material. They first appeared in the pilot and have since become a common feature throughout the series. When series background designer Kenny Pittenger was asked what they were, he answered, "They function as clouds in a way. But since the show takes place underwater, they aren't really clouds." Since the series was influenced by Tiki, the background painters have to use a lot of pattern. Pittenger said that the sky flowers were meant to evoke the look of a flowered print Hawaiian shirt. Development. Early inspirations. Series creator Steven Hillenburg first became fascinated with the ocean as a child. Also at a young age, he began developing his artistic abilities. However, these two interests would not coincide for a long time. The idea of drawing fish seemed boring to him. During college, he majored in marine biology and minored in art. After graduating in 1984, he joined the Ocean Institute, an organization in Dana Point, California, dedicated to educating the public about marine science and maritime history. While Hillenburg was there, he created a precursor to SpongeBob SquarePants, a comic book titled The Intertidal Zone, which was used by the Institute to teach visiting students about the animal life of tide pools. The comic starred various anthropomorphic sea life forms, many of which would evolve into SpongeBob characters. Hillenburg tried to get the comic professionally published, but none of the companies to which he sent it were interested. Conception. During his time of employment at the Ocean Institute, Hillenburg attended an animation festival and determined that he wanted to pursue a career in that field. He had already been planning on returning to college for a master's degree in art. Instead, he chose to study experimental animation at the California Institute of the Arts. His thesis film, Wormholes, is about the theory of relativity. It was screened at festivals, and at one of these, Hillenburg met Joe Murray, creator of the popular Nickelodeon animated series, Rocko's Modern Life. Murray was impressed by the style of the film and offered Hillenburg a job. Hillenburg joined the series as a director and later, during the fourth season, he took on the roles of producer and creative director. Martin Olson, one of the writers for Rocko's Modern Life, read The Intertidal Zone and encouraged Hillenburg to create a television series with a similar concept. At that point, Hillenburg had not even considered creating his own series. However, he realized that if he ever did, this would be the best approach. He began to further develop some of the characters from the Intertidal Zone, including the comics announcer, Bob the Sponge. He wanted his series to stand out from most popular cartoons of the time. which he felt were exemplified by buddy comedies such as The Ren and Stimpy Show. As a result, Hillenburg decided to focus on one main character, the weirdest sea creature that he could think of. This led him to the sponge. Bob the Sponge resembles an actual sea sponge, and at first Hillenburg continued this design. In determining the new character's personality, Hillenburg drew inspiration from innocent, childlike figures that he enjoyed, such as Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, Jerry Lewis, and Pee Wee Herman. He then considered modeling the character after a kitchen sponge and realized that this idea would perfectly match the character's square personality. To voice the central character of the series, Hillenburg turned to Tom Kenny, whose career in animation had started alongside Hillenburg's on Rocko's Modern Life. Elements of Kenny's own personality were employed in further developing the character. Initially, Hillenburg wanted to use the name SpongeBoy. The character would have had no last name, and the series would have been called SpongeBoy Ahoy. However, the Nickelodeon legal department discovered, after voice acting had been completed for the original 7-minute pilot episode, that the name SpongeBoy was already in use for a mop product. Flaming Carrot Comics creator Bob Burden also owned the trademark to a character of the same name. In choosing a replacement name, Hillenburg felt that he still had to use the word sponge, so that viewers would not mistake the character for a cheese man. He settled on the name SpongeBob SquarePants was then chosen as a family name after Kenny saw a picture of the character and remarked, "Boy, look at this sponge in square pants." Thinking he can get a job in a fast food place, Hillenburg loved the phrase upon hearing Kenny say it and felt that it would reinforce the character's nerdiness. Pitching: the execs from Nickelodeon flew out to Burbank, and we pitched it to them from the storyboards. We had squeezy toys, wore Hawaiian shirts and used a boombox to play the Tiny Tim song, "Livin' in the Sunlight, Lovin' in the Moonlight," that comes on in the third act. We really went all out in that pitch because we knew the pilot lived or died by if the execs laughed. When it was over, they walked out of the room to discuss it. We figured they would fly back to New York and we'd hear in a few weeks. We were surprised when they came back in what seemed like minutes and said they wanted to make it. Derek Drymon in 1997, while pitching the cartoon to Nickelodeon executives, Hillenburg donned a Hawaiian shirt, brought along an underwater terrarium with models of the characters, and played Hawaiian music to set the theme. The setup was described by Nickelodeon executive Eric Coleman as pretty amazing. When they were given money and 2 weeks to write the pilot episode, help wanted. Derek Drymon, Stephen Hillenburg, and Nick Jennings returned with what was described by Nickelodeon official Albie Hector's a performance he wished he had on tape. Although executive producer Derek Drymon described the pitch as stressful, he said it went very well. Kevin Kay and Hecht had to step outside because they were exhausted from laughing, which worried the cartoonists. In an interview, Sima Zagami, the current president of Nickelodeon, said, "Their Nickelodeon executives' immediate reaction was to see it again, both because they liked it and it was unlike anything they'd ever seen before." Zagami was one of 4 executives in the room when SpongeBob SquarePants was screened for the first time.